David, do we have everyone? I thought I saw Stacy earlier.
Yes, Stacy was in.
Oh, there's
I think
Sue.
she's
Her. Yep.
And see Stacy.
Okay, yes, it's 6:30. We are live. Everything is currently a go. So it's whenever you want to call the meeting, Chair.
Very good. Good evening, everyone. I am acting chair, Lynn Huppengarner, in our current chair Bass's absence. I'd like to start the meeting with our favorite song. You all know the words, so sing along while I repeat them for everyone. For the public to view the Planning Commission meeting. Planning Commission meetings are broadcast live on WehoTV and on Spectrum Channel 10 in West Hollywood. You can also view on YouTube at www.youtube.com/WehoTV. WehoTV programming is additionally available on multiple streaming platforms, including Android TV, Apple TV, Fire TV, and Roku. Digital streaming platform viewers can easily find programming by searching for the WehoTV within the search functions of these services. WehoTV and Spectrum Channel 10 are the only official viewing platforms. The other viewing options and platforms are made available as a courtesy to viewers, and their reliability cannot be assured by the city. If you experience technical difficulties while viewing the meeting on one of these platforms, please access WehoTV at the city's website, www.weho.org/WehoTV, and visit https www.weho.org city government /boards the goodness, that's too long. You'll figure that one out. For updated information and assistance on meeting access. To participate by providing an e-comment. To better facilitate the remote meeting, members of the public who wish to comment on matters before the Planning Commission are strongly encouraged to submit an e-comment using the form located at weho.org in the Planning Commission folder. No later than 4 p.m. On Planning Commission evenings. To participate by providing public comment by telephone. This option is to provide public comment via phone only. To view the meeting, please see information on how to view the meeting provided, what I just said. You are strongly encouraged to email D. Gillig, that's our David Gillig, our secretary, at weho.org in advance of the Planning Commission meeting to be added to the public speakers list for the meeting. Please include your name, the phone number from which you will be calling, and which item you would like to speak on. Dial in 10 minutes prior to the meeting and dialing codes. This is important for when you want to participate. *6 equals unmute, *9 lets David know you want to speak on the current item. The dial-in number is 669-900-6833. And the meeting ID is 974-5204-0024, followed by the #. Your phone will be muted until you are called to speak, at which time you will have 3 minutes to speak. With that, I'd like to call our hearing for this evening to order and ask Commissioner Vinson if she would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And now I'd like to call on Councilmember Erickson, who will administer the oath of office to our newly reappointed colleague, Rogerio Caballero.
Thank you, Chair Huppengartner. It's so great to see you all. And great to be back with all of you in this format. I've missed you all, and congratulations to Commissioner Thomas and Commissioner Vinson. It's so great to see you on this commission and kicking butt, if I must say so myself. We will let you have City Attorney Lauren Langer for just a little bit longer. Luckily, we have her now as our official city attorney. So, great kudos there on RBG's birthday, getting her appointed that officially. And thank you for allowing me this little weird but fun way in which we could re-swear in now my commissioner, Rogerio Cavallero. So you ready, Rogerio?
I'm ready.
All right, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, state your name,
I, Rogerio Cavallero,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that while serving in the office
that while serving in the office
as a member of the Planning Commission of the City of West Hollywood,
as a member of the Planning Commission of the City of West Hollywood,
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, thank you.
Have a wonderful meeting, everyone, and please stay safe and healthy.
Thank you.
Bye.
Welcome back. It's like you never left us.
Here I am again.
Well, with that, David, would you call the roll?
Good evening. Tonight, as Chair Hoopengunner stated, our Chair Bass is absent officially. So Acting Chair Hoopengunner will be in that capacity tonight. The roll call votes will reflect. Commissioner Vincent,
Here.
Commissioner Thomas,
Here.
Commissioner Jones,
Here.
Commissioner Carvalero,
Here.
Commissioner Buckner,
Here.
Acting Chair Hoopengarner,
Here.
and we have a quorum.
Excellent. Thank you, David. Item number 5, approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion?
I move.
I'll move.
Commissioner
Or
Jones,
second.
thank you. Commissioner
I'll second.
Buckner, second.
Second, yes.
Very good. David, can we call the roll?
Commissioner Vincent, you muted, Commissioner.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
thank you. Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Carvalero,
Yes.
Commissioner Buckner,
Yes.
and Acting Chair Hoopengarner.
Yes.
And motion carries to approve the agenda as presented for March 18th, 2021.
Very good. Thank you. So item number 6, approval of the minutes. And this would be the minutes from the March 4th, 2021 hearing. Do we have a motion? Commissioner Buckner,
I move approval.
I'll second.
thank you. David, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Buckner,
Yes.
Commissioner Carvalero,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Vincent,
Yes.
Acting Chair Hoopengarner,
Yes.
and the minutes for March 4th, 2021 are approved.
Thank you, David. At this time, item 7, public comment. David, do we have anyone in the queue?
I'm not showing anybody in the queue for public comment.
If you are interested, please use the raise your hand feature in Zoom to indicate to David that you'd like to speak. If not, we will move on. 3, 2, 1, and And item number 8, Director's Report.
Good evening, Chair and members of the Commission. John Kehoe, Director of Planning and Development Services for the City of West Hollywood. Just a couple of announcements. At the last City Council meeting, the Council did approve the 3 zone text amendments that the Planning Commission reviewed, and it did include approval of the R3CC as the Planning Commission had recommended. Also, this week, I appointed Robin Eason as the permanent manager for the Long Range Planning Division. So she started in that position on Tuesday. Very happy about that. And then also I wanted to congratulate Lauren Langer on being appointed to the City Attorney's Office. I hope she gets to hang around here with us for a little bit, but I'm sure she'll leave us in good hands. And that's it.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Kehoe. Onward, item 9, items from commissioners. Do we have anything from anyone? Commissioner Jones.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I just wanted to extend my congratulations to Commissioner Carvallero. We're neighbors and friends, and I'm really looking forward to continuing to work with you on commission. So kudos.
Thank you.
Commissioner Buckner.
I'll just ditto that. Am I on? Yeah. I just enjoy so much listening to Rogerio's comments. He adds so much and gives us such a different perspective. And I'm really glad that he's back on. And I thank his council member for his appointment. So we get to keep him for a little bit longer. Lauren, I'm going to miss you. But congratulations, my dear. You're the greatest.
Thank you, but I'm not going anywhere quite yet. So
Okay, good, good.
I'll continue to do both for a while, but thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Commissioner Thomas.
I too wanted to congratulate Rogerio for continuing to be with us. I think you have a very important voice on this commission. And so I am so glad that you're going to continue being with us. I also wanted to make everyone aware of SB 314. This is a bill that's been proposed by Senator Wiener, and it's called the Bar and Restaurant Recovery Act. And what it would do is it would make permanent the outdoor dining and more specifically, the outdoor drinking that came about during the COVID-19 emergency. And it would essentially change the alcohol laws at the state level, and each municipality would have the option of adopting the changes. And I just bring this up to make the public aware of this proposed bill, and also to make this body aware, because if it comes to fruition, we would of course be called on to oversee the permanent expansions here in West Hollywood. And I know that it's on the city lobbyists radar. And I'm sure we're going to be hearing more about this in the future. But I just wanted to kind of bring it up now because it could impact us. And like I said, the permanent expansions that we'll have here in the city. So.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Anyone else? Okay, then I too will extend my, I guess, congratulations to Lauren Langer. No. We know that it's well-deserved, and we know best probably. And I'd also like to say to Rogerio, welcome back. Thank you. All right, moving on. Item 10, consent calendar. Seeing there is none, we will move on to item 11A, public hearings. For the public's benefit and me being new on the job for my own benefit, I'm going to outline the process so everybody kind of knows how it works. First, the staff will give their report, and I'm not sure, I believe that's Roger Raff tonight. And then we will give our disclosures about any public conversations we've had. Then the commissioners will be able to ask questions of staff. Then the applicant will have 10 minutes to make their presentation. Then commissioners will ask their questions of the applicant. And at that time, you as public will be able to make comments. And then the applicant will have, I believe, 5 minutes for rebuttal to any comments that were made in that process. At that point, we will, as commission, ask questions, any additional questions we would have of the applicant. And then we close the public hearing and have the actual deliberations about the proposed staff recommendation and to discuss any possible amendments to those resolutions. And then we vote. So that's your civics for the day on how the Planning Commission works. And with that, I will turn this over on item 11A, 8383 Santa Monica Boulevard. This is a request for an intensification of use from a general retail to a health fitness facility. It was formerly Aaron Brothers in the Kings Road parking structure, and the proposal is for Barry's Boot Camp to move into that space. And with that, Roger, your show.
Okay, thank you. So good evening, Vice Chair Hoopen Gardner and commissioners. To those who haven't met me yet, my name is Roger Rath. I am the assistant planner with the current and historic preservation planning division. So the item before you today will be a request, as Vice Chair Hoopen Gardner said, for health and fitness facility use at 8383 Santa Monica Boulevard. I will pull up my presentation. You guys can give me 1 second. Okay, I believe everybody can see the presentation now. Great, thanks. Okay, so the city-owned property is located on the northeast corner of Kings Road and Santa Monica Boulevard in the public facility zone. The tenant space is located on the ground floor of the public parking structure across the street from Hugo's. Many may remember that the previous tenant, of course, of this location was Aaron Brothers. So the general plan identifies this area as part of the Santa Monica Boulevard West, a commercial sub-area to support neighborhood serving uses that benefits local residents and encourage pedestrian activities both day and evening. Reflective of this, the adjacent uses are restaurants, retail, and personal service uses. To the north of the property are residential uses with a mix of 2 to 4 story structures. This is the current condition of the property. As mentioned previously, the proposed use will occupy the ground floor. There are no exterior work being proposed at this time. Per Chapter 19.10 of the Municipal Code, health or fitness facility requires the approval of the conditional use permit in this zone. The use is different from the land use health or fitness facility's personal training because of the additional amenities provided and the multiple workout spaces. A development permit is also required for the intensification of use. However, parking is provided all on site. The hours of operation is proposed at 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Fridays and 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays. However, the applicant has reached out after the staff report was published and would like to request 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday to Fridays and 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays. Staff is not opposed to these changes. The tenant space is 7,980 square feet. The project includes an interior improvement to accommodate the new use. Highlighted in red on the proposed floor plan are the 2 workout studio spaces. The blue boxes indicates the amenities. The amenities include locker rooms, a fuel bar, which is basically a smoothie bar, and some retail. Various facilities are focused on instructor-led classes by appointment times. The main entrance will remain in the same location along Santa Monica Boulevard. As indicated in the transparent orange boxes on the floor plan, the concrete parking structure wraps around the back and side of the tenant space, allowing for sound produced by this use to be buffered. In addition, these conditions will help mitigate against sound-related nuisance. These conditions have to do with music amplification, closed windows and doors, being responsive to complaints, and maintaining the use indoors. The applicant has also taken proactive measures by including tenant improvements that prevent noise from escaping the tenant space by installing additional insulation. In the staff report, these conditions numbers were incorrect. However, the condition is correct in the draft resolution. So as condition, the proposed intensification of use to allow Barry's to operate as a health or fitness facility is well suited for the site and will benefit local residents as a neighborhood serving use, nor will it cause a nuisance to the general public. Therefore, staff recommends approval of the application. Both staff and the application are available for any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thanks. Commissioner Jones?
Thank you. Just two quick questions. One, I want to make sure that there will not be any doors swinging into the public right of way on that sidewalk there in the front. Can you confirm, Roger?
I believe the door does swing out, but we can make that a condition that it doesn't swing out to the public right of way. I think there's like a little space in between that is private property.
Okay.
But
I just don't want it impeding the public right of way, especially with, you know, people, bikes, anyone in a wheelchair, kids, scooters, etc. Okay,
Absolutely.
great to know. My other question, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I just want to clarify, I believe by fire code, it would have to swing out anyway.
Got it. Thank you. I also wanted to, I know the applicant has requested an extension of the hours, and I'm just curious to know if staff anticipates there being any issues with the parking, like competing with the restaurants in the area, like later into the evening?
No, their lease actually includes all the parking that's required for them to be provided all on site.
Okay, those are my questions. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Brand new Commissioner Caballero.
Thank you. Roger, we exchanged emails today, and I just want to confirm it in this public hearing. So the parking is not using the parking credits program. They actually have leased parking in the lot or in the structure upstairs.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and then somewhere in the report, it mentions that there's no construction on the exterior, and then there's requests for double pane glass. But you confirmed today that it's single pane glass. Correct. So there will be construction on the exterior. So we'll need to modify that. Correct.
Yeah. So with the glass, this is kind of a conservative condition that staff kind of thought that would help mitigate noise. So I believe that, you know, if we do kind of move forward with that, we can. There will be updates to allowing that for that.
Okay, but it's a requirement that they do the double pane glass, correct?
Yeah, it's part of our condition.
Okay, so then it'll come up. And has been since the pandemic that I've actually been to this parking structure. The mechanical units are on the ground floor adjacent to the little office, isn't it? They're not on the roof deck, are they? Will they continue to be on the ground floor adjacent to the space? Because I didn't see any shafts in the plan, not that there often are, and I'm assuming all the ducts will be on the ceiling anyways and kind of going up, but I didn't see any place where that's logically would happen.
The parking structure around this site won't be changing. So this is all interior tenant improvements. So anything if you're talking about the mechanical equipment for the parking structure?
Yeah, no, the park units for the gym itself, like the HVAC units. Where will the condensers be? And not that it's, you know, I didn't see anything on the plan. It's not a big issue for me. You know, I don't remember them being on the roof deck, and I recall them being adjacent to the entry gate there to the right. And I'm just assuming that that's where it's going to continue to be. I just didn't see it called out on the plan. Just something to think about. I don't think I'm not necessarily worried about it, but you know, there is going to be, you know, air circulation is a major part of this project, especially now given all the new COVID guidelines. So just something to think about.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Commissioner Vinson?
Yeah, in the report, it says, while this conditional use permit would allow outdoor operation of the gym only, the applicant has indicated the intent to apply for an out zone permit to operate the gym outdoors while COVID-19 is in order. But then it goes on to say that since Barry's has an existing location in West Hollywood, the business is eligible to apply for an outdoor operation prior to commencement. It's a bit contradictory. Can someone elaborate on that?
So,
I can
sorry.
take
Sorry.
that if you want.
Okay, sure. You go ahead. Sorry.
So this conditional use permit allows for interior operation of the use because that's what the permit is for. However, during the pandemic, we have allowed gyms that have brick and mortar operations within the city of West Hollywood to apply for a temporary use permit to have outdoor operations because they weren't allowed to operate indoors or are very limited indoors now. So because Barry's Boot Camp had a location already on La Cienega, they are eligible to apply for a TUP for outdoor operation during the pandemic. That's a temporary use permit for temporary outdoor use. Once that is over and the temporary use permit goes away, they would only be able to operate within the tenant space that's approved here. Does that help?
Yeah, so then my question would be, if they're operating outdoors, I would assume that they'd be doing it in the parking structure. And I worry about the noise traveling to the residential area north of them. And would they have different hours then that they would be allowed to operate outdoors?
Yes, and actually the temporary use permit, they did apply for it. It's under review. It's a completely separate matter than what we're looking at tonight. And so we will review all of those issues and whether there's any sort of, we do have limits on what they can do outdoors in terms of music. They wouldn't be able to play loud music. I think we require them to have certain hours of operation and sound restrictions in that TUP process, but that's separate from what we're looking at tonight. This is just the interior tenant space use as a health club.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner.
Okay, thank you.
Got my name?
Yes.
Where are they going to do outdoors? I don't see any on the drawings, any place outdoors, unless, as we were just discussing, it would be in the parking structure, which isn't really outdoors.
So this permit is primarily just all indoors. So this focuses all in the interior. It's going to be the temporary outdoor permit that's going to oversee where the location and also the hours of operation for the outdoor use of the gym. But this focus here is going to be all interior for this permit.
I understand, but you did mention it in the report. And my question is, if you were to give them a temporary use permit for outdoor use of the activities, where would it be? Doesn't look like they have any place to have it.
So most of the gyms that have been coming through the city for an outdoor permit has been occupying the space on top of the rooftop of the parking structure. So that's, I assume, probably where this one might go. But
I don't have that information off the top. Like, we don't have that with us right now. I can look it up, but again, that's not what we're looking at right now. We put that in just because we wanted to be clear and be completely transparent that they are applying for that, and that regardless of what happens tonight, they are eligible to apply for that temporary use permit. But that's, again, we're analyzing that separately. It's a separate application, and we don't have all of that information for you this evening.
Thank you. Any other questions of staff? Okay, with that, let's move on to the applicant's proposal. If the applicants would introduce themselves, their city of residence, they'll have 10 minutes to make their presentation.
Hi, my name is Adam Shane. I'm trying to turn my video on. I'm the applicant, but it is not letting me. So happy to see everybody. Can I get my video on, or is it off?
David? I'm trying.
Okay.
Maybe David can do it.
God bless COVID.
There we go.
Good to meet
that wasn't
everybody.
you.
My name is Adam Shane. I'm the Chief Development Officer of Barry's. I've been with Barry's Boot Camp the company for 8 years, and second longest tenured employee to the CEO has been here for 15 plus. Barry's has been in West Hollywood for 21 plus years. We are currently at the end of a very old and tired lease at La Cienega between Sunset and Santa Monica. Done our best to survive COVID, and really appreciate everyone's time tonight. We're very grateful to be part of West Hollywood, and it is our flagship. It is the home of our brand. Barry J. Lived in West Hollywood. We are it's a namesake of Barry's, so we are thrilled to have the opportunity to modernize our studio and bring it to Santa Monica, with really the more up-to-date, sufficient version of our business versus what we built, over 10 years ago on La Cienega that we've outgrown. So we're really excited about that, and thank you very much. So just a little bit about our company. We are a boutique fitness studio. We have 74 global locations. I saw that it said 90, but that's a little ambitious. We're almost there, but we have 74, 44 in the US. And honestly, it all started in West Hollywood 21 plus years ago. We have 7 locations in Southern California. And, our primary program is running and strength training. So what you'll see on the plan indoors is our fitness room has treadmills. So there are 25 treadmills. They're state-of-the-art with weight treadmills. And half the class would be running on a treadmill. Half the class would be using a bench and strength training. So our bread and butter is the combination of cardio conditioning and strength training. And so it's high intensity interval training. And our classes are 50 minutes long. We are open every day of the week, 365 days of the year. And that's a great thing for us. And that's why the last 12 months have been so difficult and challenging, but we are starting to reopen around the country. We are in the red tier, which is fairly restrictive, and hopefully moving up to orange and then yellow, which is a little bit less restrictive as we look to open around the country. So really excited about this. We have a fuel bar, which is really just grab and go food and protein shakes. We don't do any cooking on site. So just protein shakes, some frozen fruit that we would get in. And it's been a real nice amenity to our clients, and people love it. You can also get one if you're coming off the street. But for the most part, our fuel bar serves our clients, and it's really an amenity to our business. So we have men's and women's locker rooms with showers. We give towels. So you don't have to bring anything but your workout gear. You can come in. We have lockers that have a locking mechanism on them, so you don't have to bring a key. You don't have to bring your own lock, and everything's taken care of for you. So we are looking, to start construction in the near future. We anticipate a construction period of 6 months, and I have, in fact, read all the conditions. And the only thing, Mr. Rath did speak about section 10.3. I would ask that Saturdays and Sundays we go to 7 p.m., not 6 p.m. We typically do 50-minute classes. We run classes anywhere from 6 to 10 classes a day, depending on the demand. We really start slow and just build into the demand of the market. And so the other condition that another commissioner mentioned was the double pane glass. I do want to bring up that we do a lot of soundproofing on the interior of our studio. So when you go into the fitness room, so basically what you would do at Barry's, the experience is you would enter the lobby. There'd be a person, 2 people at the front desk checking you in and welcoming you to class. So you put your stuff, go into the locker room and change, or just put your stuff in a hallway locker, and then you'd go into the classroom. We call it the red room. That's where kind of all the magic happens for our business. But you'd go in there, you'd have your 50-minute workout. And that room, which you can see in the back of our space, is completely soundproof. We spend, candidly, hundreds of thousands of dollars soundproofing that room because we have people in the lobby that have to work there. So the second you open and close that door to the studio, you're completely soundproof. So essentially, you wouldn't be able to hear anything that happens in the inside that studio door. So our intent, Commissioner, was not necessarily to have to do any improvements to the facade. We're going to take it as is, which I do realize is single pane. So I would ask potentially for a reconsideration on having to do double pane. We do a lot of soundproofing on the interior so that no sound really is exiting the space. We are experts at that, and we can satisfy you in terms of any additional information you need. So I would make that request as well. And I'm happy to take any questions. I did want to address very quickly, we did file for a temporary use permit for outdoor. That would be on the roof. That is a separate permit. We have submitted that application, including a plan which has all the detail. We do, Commissioner, use silent disco. There's no amplified sound whatsoever on that, although that is outside the scope of this tonight's hearing. But I did want to just put some of those concerns to rest. That silent disco headsets, you're hearing music through the headset, so we don't disturb any neighbors. There's no noise whatsoever generated up there. So it's a completely soundproof experience. We've done it around Southern California very successfully as a way to adapt to the pandemic and just to stay relevant for our clients right now. You know, it's not necessarily for profit right now. Staying relevant is very important. It's like a restaurant doing takeout. I think the longer you don't do it, the more people will find someone else to eat their food. So we're really excited about the opportunity to stay relevant as we kind of struggle through a very restricted environment for indoor fitness. So just wanted to answer some of those questions that I heard from you.
Okay, thank you. Are there questions for the applicant? Commissioner Vincent?
Yeah, you mentioned you soundproof your studio, and I'm assuming Studio 100 and Flex Lab. So you're putting in STC rated doors on those
Yes,
two
absolutely.
areas. Will you do STC rated doors at your entrance and exit as well?
We weren't planning. That's a good question. We were not planning on changing any of the existing, but we do STC rated doors on the inside walking into these rooms. So our plan was to keep all condition exterior, including doors as is. So I don't know what the current STC rating is, but we absolutely do STC rated doors on the inside of our rooms. So essentially, if you were standing in the lobby, you would not hear anything coming from any of those rooms. You would literally be completely independent. You could talk on the phone. Our phone rings all day with people changing their class, asking questions. So you literally have people sitting at the front desk on their telephone, and you have a very relatively loud experience with 50 people working out in the room, and you'd be able to talk on the phone at normal volume without hearing anything coming from those rooms. So we actually have to soundproof for a lot of reasons, just to keep that, business running throughout the day. So in theory, you shouldn't be able to hear anything coming out of those rooms.
So a little background on me, I've managed and operated fitness centers for 15 years. Prior to switching careers to construction, where I do TIs. I'm
Awesome.
the superintendent and I do TIs. So I do a lot of soundproofing and STC doors and all that. So I
know
get
how
it.
expensive they are.
Yeah. Oh, I never deal with the money side. I just build it. But I get that those are soundproof rooms and that, you could be at the desk and not hear a thing. My worry is that from managing gyms for so many years, you have people that trickle in late to these classes. So those doors would be opening for a few seconds at a time as someone enters, and that noise would escape. So that's why I'm concerned about the other doors being STC rated. I know it'd only be for a few seconds as someone comes in and out of the class. And then also if someone needed to leave the class to use the restroom. So that's why I worry about the existing shell of the building not being soundproof. I know you were talking about the existing shell not having double pane window or double glass windows and STC doors, but I just worry about that sound escaping, if it's 6 a.m. and I'm a neighbor, and even if it's just for a few seconds, it could jolt someone out of their sleep.
Fair. That door does open. I think the good part about the larger studio that's generating most of the noise is in the back, and there's parking. That's on the first floor, so that's a parking garage behind that. So that's not necessarily near any residential area. And then you have your locker room. So there's a lot of walls between that door and Santa Monica Boulevard. So we purposely put that studio in the far back of our space, so you have a lot happening between. There's a lot of area to kind of dead in that sound. So very fair point. That door does open, and the goal would be that we're not disrupting anybody. That's not our intent whatsoever.
Okay, and then that actually brings me to my next question. That door that's at the rear that brings you into the parking garage, would that be exit only, or would people be entering that from the parking garage?
No, that's exit only. Everyone enters through the front door. That's just an egress.
Okay, and then I noticed you don't have a furred out wall at that back wall. Are you soundproofing that wall as well?
I don't know the intent would be they're all soundproofed. It's just a matter of how many layers of drywall there are. So I'll have to double check that.
Yeah, I'm talking about rear corridor 119, 119. There's no furred out wall there. So I was just curious if you were, like you said, there's a lot of areas to deaden the sound before it reaches the neighbors.
Yes.
Because you do have everything at the back. But then I noticed that back wall doesn't necessarily have any soundproofing on it. So
The intent would be multiple layers of drywall.
Okay.
Yeah, so there would be multiple layers there.
Okay. I think that's all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Who's next? Any other questions? Commissioner Buckner?
I just want to ask one question. So there's two studios, a smaller studio and then a larger studio that has up to 50 people in, that's going to be able to house up to 50 people exercising. Is that right?
Yes.
And the smaller studio has a limited capacity for how many?
Typically that would be a flex. So there are times where we'll do stretching in there. People will be able to go and do stretching. It'll be very small, more personalized classes. Figure there would be no more than 15 people in there at any given time.
So your classes go all day long, every 50 minutes, but most of them are in the larger workout room.
Yeah, well, we would do classes in the small room if demand called for it. It depended what the demand was for that. So that's a lot of people to serve. We would be so lucky if the demand was there. We'd run classes for both studios. A smaller class, more personalized, and a larger kind of our core business class.
Is that how you're operating in your other location too? Just one big studio and then a smaller studio for?
If we have room for a smaller studio in certain markets, we add a second studio. So we have about a little less than 10 of those around the country where we've had the opportunity to take a larger space that's closer to 7,000 square feet, when most of our studios on average are 4,000 to 5,000 square feet. So it does allow us to take a larger space and service a larger community.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I'd like to follow on with Commissioner Vincent's question, because I think to her point, it is about the timing of the entrance and the exit. And if you have that 50-minute window, I would see a scenario where people are coming in, so that front door is opening to get ready for the next class at the same time as people might be scooting out of the previous class early. And so you'd have both doors open with that sound lead out onto the street. And there are residents right across the street at the corner of Kings and Santa Monica. And as someone who used to have a very loud late night neighbor, yes, all it takes is that one blast of sound and you're awake, and it's not a pleasant thing. So I think we want to be very cognizant of our neighbors. I'm very cognizant of the cost that staff has put in here, double pane windows. But I think let's also think about being good neighbors, and we can discuss this, but I want to make sure that we've really got that out on the floor. To that point,
absolutely.
I know that the city allows businesses to have up to, I believe it is 12 permits a year for events. Jennifer, is this business eligible for events?
As far as I know, yeah, it would be.
Okay. But those events would be constrained by these same operating hours, or would that special permit give them special operating hours?
Special events can operate outside of the standard or the conditions of approval.
I can't come up with a good example of a special event that would run outside the hours. The only event that we ever would do would be a grand opening. And I totally understand. We rely on our community to be successful. I mean, mostly everyone's going to walk or drive within a mile and a half of this site. We have a site around the corner that when we looked at a heat map on where our existing customers are coming, they're all coming from the core of West Hollywood, all around this. So everyone that lives around is probably a client or has been at some point for the last 20 years. So we absolutely respect that. We are in a lot of major new areas where they're residential, and we do everything we can to stay quiet. We also have staff that's in there early and they don't want to listen to a lot of loud noise. And we are very good at controlling that noise when there is no class running. So the second that class is over, that noise goes off. It is only for the environment that 50 minutes, but it does, there are people that come in late and there's seconds where that door swings open, but we do everything we can to limit that. It would be less noisy than a car driving by.
Okay. With that, I'd like to open it to public comments. David, I'm sorry. Sorry, Commissioner Thomas, I didn't see your hand. Please.
No worries at all. I just have a few small things. First, like my colleagues, I'm concerned about noise, and thank you so much for outlining all of your noise mitigation efforts. I guess the only question left is you will have speakers in the studios, I assume, or
yeah, that's the noise. The noise is music.
Right.
It does play
Okay.
music.
I just wanted to make sure that they were actual speakers. So is there any plans to have the speakers facing south towards Santa Monica?
The speakers typically hang from the ceiling or they're on the wall, but they're all kind of, that's a tough question to answer. It's a very specific design to create a musical experience that is part of the class. So the class is essentially, the music is part of the experience. So you're working out to the beat of the music, similar to a spinning class if anyone's been in there. So I don't know where the speakers face, but you can be sure they're facing in all directions in there. They typically hang from the ceiling on acoustical treated, hangers. And we do work with, the best of the best acoustical engineers and sound consultants to make sure that we have contained all of the sound. We do invest a lot into building soundproof and, properly treated studio environments.
Okay.
Hope that answers your question, Ms. Thomas.
No, it does. Like I said, I just have a couple of small questions. I do think that this particular project would have benefited from a neighborhood meeting, but I spoke to staff about this. I know that considering the youth and what we're doing the public hearing on today, it doesn't call for a neighborhood meeting, but I think that it could have benefited from it. And I think that the neighbors could have given some input on the impact of the noise and maybe given suggestions on how to mitigate some of the noise. But again, it doesn't call for it. I'm just kind of sharing that I think that we all could have benefited from input from the neighborhood. I do have a little bit of concern about traffic. I know that is, there'll be more, your patrons will be entering because you said there'll be either 15 or 50 for each class or for each hour of use.
There'll be anywhere from 45 to 55 people in a given hour.
I just have concerns about that many cars entering all at the same time, especially the way that they enter that particular parking garage. That's just, I guess we'll see how it plays out. And then I'm sure you'll make efforts to mitigate the traffic if you find that there's, I know that there are enough spaces for your patrons. My concern is them all coming together, them all coming in at the same time. You understand?
Absolutely. We have found that a lot of our clients locally walk, a lot of them Uber. We do have the benefit of having all of that information for a studio that, has been one of our more successful studios in Southern California, right around the corner. So, it's not every client driving, which is the benefit, and our existing space has less parking and we haven't had a problem for whatever, if empirically, if that helps at all. So, but if we will watch it very closely.
Okay, and finally, I have a question about the pedestrian experience. I'm just wondering, so you said the front door is simply for your patrons to enter for their classes. And so I just want to make sure that the pedestrian experience is such that there won't be a lot of activity in front of the property. There won't be sample sales and brand ambassadors and promotion and all of that going on in front of the property. You expect that the front of the property is solely just for the entry into classes, correct?
Correct.
Okay, that's it.
Okay, David, oh, sorry, Commissioner Caballero.
Yeah, one quick question. Adam, it would be helpful, I think, given everybody's questions, the current studio on La Cienega, the largest studio, how many people does it hold?
The current studio?
Yeah.
About 40 to 45 people.
Okay, so
in pre-COVID environment.
Right. Okay. So because that parking lot is pretty impossible, So, I mean, and you guys have valet there, kind of helping, sort of sort out the issues, and you have a lot more parking here than you do there. So, I mean, that's just kind of in regards to Commissioner Thomas's questions, which I think are really good questions. It's just good to compare to your current location where it's such a mess at times when everybody's arriving, but you sort it out every single time and everybody gets to class on time. And then in this location, you actually have a buffer between the residential and the studio. And at the La Cienega location, you don't have a buffer. You're right up against that perimeter wall and the residents are right on the other side. And have there ever been any noise complaints?
Not as far as I know, and even that studio is not built with the latest and greatest soundproofing. That studio is already 10 years old. And we have tenants, to that point about the parking, there are restaurant tenants there are massage tenants there are chiropractors. So there are other tenants in that center generating a lot of that traffic as well.
So while you'll have more people coming here than that current location, you've been able to successfully work that out, even with other tenants in the complex and with the residential in terms of sound on the back. So.
Correct.
Great, thank you.
Okay, anybody else? All right, with that, let's open it to public comment. David, do we have any public?
Chair, I received no public comment forms for this item. If there is anybody on the call tonight with us that wants to speak, please use the raise hand feature by doing *6 from your telephone, and we'll give you 3 minutes to speak.
Don't let me off that easy. It's my first time chairing. We need at least one public.
I'm sorry, Lynn, Chair. I'm not showing anybody that wants to speak on this item.
Okay, fine. We'll move on then. So then I guess the applicant has nothing to rebut. You do have an additional 5 minutes to say anything else that you needed to say.
Just to thank everybody. I appreciate everybody's time. We're really excited about the opportunity it's given, and we believe that we'll be really good neighbors and really give back to the community in a major way. And it's a really good opportunity for us to continue being a major part of the area for many more years to come.
Okay, thank you. With that, I'm going to ask that we close the public hearing with consent. Then we'll move on to deliberation. I did hear a number of amendments discussed both in the staff presentation and the applicant's request. And so can we clarify what staff's recommendation is, in particular as relates to the hours in section 10 of the resolutions, which is on page no number. And and just note, Roger, that section 10 is labeled section 9 operations. So what amendments were staff recommending?
So staff is recommending we approve the requested amended times, which was from.
So this is in 10.3.
Yes, that's
Okay.
right. So the hours of operation that was requested was at from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. from Monday to Fridays. And then on weekends, which is Saturday, Sunday, it's going to be 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
7 or 6, I understood.
7 p.m.
7, okay.
Yes.
Were there any other changes that staff was recommending to the resolution?
No.
Okay. Commissioner Buckner?
Yeah, I was thinking that because the applicant had not intended to do any work on the exterior that faces Santa Monica, the windows and the doors that were brought up earlier in the presentation, is it possible to just leave them single pane, and that if there's an issue, like we have a review in 3 to 6 months, and if there's some public upset about noise, then at that point they would have to maybe do the windows. I mean, it's not a major construction to change windows out. So
Absolutely.
I was thinking that rather than put that requirement on them at this point, since they believe that it would be that their soundproofing is going to be adequate, that perhaps we would have that as an option further down the road, that if there is a lot of public outcry about noise, that would then we would then require them to make that change. But that's
Yes,
my
absolutely.
thought. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. We can put in a condition. I have one kind of ready here. It would read, the Planning and Development Service Director shall review this permit 6 and 12 months following commencement of use to determine if the conditions of approval are adequate to prevent the business from becoming a nuisance to the adjacent residential property. If a modification to the condition of the permit is deemed necessary, the matter will be reviewed by the Planning Commission at a duly noticed public hearing. Do you believe that's sufficient?
That's fine. I just would like somehow to call out the windows and the door that Commissioner Vincent indicated might need to be upgraded. So the windows, double pane windows in the door, I think somehow that those would be the things that we would look to. Jennifer,
Well,
does that seem?
I would just, to that point, 10.5 is the item that calls out the requirement for the double glazed windows.
Mm-hmm.
So that would need to be modified to remove that requirement. And are you recommending that we move that into a conditional condition? That it be, in the event that the sound mitigation is an issue, that this would come before review and that would be considered an option. I guess my
an option to remedy the issue, the problem.
These are large storefront windows, and it's not the little man comes up to your house and pops the old window out and pops a new one in kind of thing.
Right.
It's a lot more work than you think to do that change out, and expensive. But
right.
My only question about that is, would we want to be consistent in other projects where we have potential noise issues? We've always required that the report be brought back to Planning Commission and not to the director. So would your recommendation be that we be consistent in that matter?
Yes. I'm just feeling at this point to require this applicant to do that work now when it may not be necessary would be an expense that they wouldn't have to incur. I don't know. I saw Jennifer with her hand up. What do you think, Jennifer?
Yes, Jennifer?
We can certainly modify the language of the condition to bring it back to Planning Commission. What I was going to clarify is whether we wanted to leave it fairly open-ended in case there are other ways to address sound mitigation other than changing out the windows and doors. If there's something else that they can do that way, if it's a nuisance, we can come up with a solution and solve the problem in whatever way makes sense at that point in time.
Well, I would think, yeah, proscribing the solution in the resolutions is not necessarily the way to go, but identifying the review process is what I think we need.
Okay.
Anybody else have comments?
Yeah, I wanted to bring up one more time this rear door, the rear quarter, that would be emergency exit only, right? I guess that's
I
a
believe
question.
so, yes. Emergency exit only.
Okay. I just worry about, as people exit into the garage, that noise would escape. But if it's emergency exit only, I think that solves my concern.
Do we need that clarified on the plans?
Yeah, I think we might need to add that as a condition that would be emergency egress exit only.
Because I can see that becoming a very easy, handy way to get to your car.
Right. Or just to get to the street to go north, So.
Commissioner Carviero, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I'm not sure. This is not a condition, but I don't know if anybody else picked this up in the plans. It's a design comment. From the sidewalk through the window, you have direct line of sight right into the women's washrooms. And I really like the men's bathrooms don't have direct line of sight into it. They're in the corner. So, but even the entry, you sort of have a vestibule before you turn and see the toilets. And it just bothers me that someone on the sidewalk, if that door is open, can see right into a stall. And maybe I'm overthinking it, but it's one of my pet peeves, and was wondering if somebody could just address that so that doesn't happen, because the door could go onto the other side. It may take a little bit of reshuffling, and even then somebody from the sidewalk wouldn't have a line of sight, and it would feel more comfortable. It feels a little uncomfortable right now.
I would concur.
We will make sure there's no direct line of sight to the street into the women's bathroom.
Great.
And
we would not want that at all. So the intent is that there is some sort of barrier there.
Thanks.
And I'm going to jump in here because this is something I didn't bring up earlier because it's not in the conditions, but this is back to activating this space as far as the pedestrian experience is concerned. And oftentimes spaces like this end up with film over the windows and totally blocked off, and it becomes just this wall that you're walking past. And so do we have anything in our resolutions that speaks to keeping this an active environment? Thank you, Jennifer.
It's not in the resolution, but it is in our code. The windows have to be clear and untinted at all times on all businesses at street level.
And they can't put those film advertisements or whatever on them.
And they're right across the street, so we'll notice. We park there.
Okay. Commissioner Buckner, did you have? No.
I'm just wondering, are we going to leave the double pane windows in there, or are we going to remove that condition?
It would be my recommendation to follow your lead and have them removed, and leave it up to, the review process to determine what solutions to be addressed. So if that's the case, then 10.5, that component would be struck, and the new paragraph saying that this would be, I don't know what, a 3 and a 6 month review, or?
Yeah, we're going to know pretty soon,
Yeah.
within 3 months if there's an issue.
Well,
Yeah.
3 months, they aren't even going to be open for 6 months.
So, well, yeah, but 3 to 6 months after C of O.
Yeah, exactly.
And I guess then it's also, didn't we do this on the restaurant, the nightclub? We tied the
Dash.
contingency, to COVID, so that, it's 3 months after, we're fully occupied, so to speak. It's not just 3 months from the opening of the doors. Didn't we do that?
Yeah, we said full operation. 6 months after full operation or something like that.
I think we did. 89 something Santa Monica.
Mhm.
Commissioner Caballero should know that number because I believe he designed it.
It was
I
Stash.
can't say anything, sorry.
Give us a street address. That's all we want.
8941.
8941.
8941.
So I would suggest that that language might meet Commissioner Buckner's goals.
All right, let me find it. Okay.
And to clarify real quickly while Jennifer's looking that up, we would just change 10.5 so it doesn't say double glaze. But I think the condition is important because it says that they have to be sealed and inoperable and provide sound insulation.
Thank
I
you.
would say that you strike, all windows should be double glazed. What? You would have to strike the second sentence. Or strike the first portion of the second sentence and from the comma on, attach it to the first sentence. All windows of the health fitness facility shall be completely sealed and inoperable, providing sound insulation to comply with the noise ordinance.
Yes.
That's good.
Done. Okay. So edits to 10.3, 10.5, and a new paragraph, which Jennifer will read to us when she finds it. Would this also go in 10?
Yeah, that's fine. We can add it to the last one after whatever the next number is for the section 10. And the resolution we talked about wasn't helpful, so I'm just writing this the way I think that you want it. So hang on one second. Okay, so are we ready to read this? And let me know if you want something more specific. The Planning Commission shall review this permit. We said 3 and 6 months, 3 and 6 months following commencement of full operation to determine if the conditions of approval are adequate to prevent the business from becoming a nuisance to the adjacent residential property. If a modification to the conditions of this permit is deemed necessary, the matter will be reviewed by the Planning Commission at a duly noticed public hearing.
The only question I have is that doesn't address, is full operation a COVID related term, or is that just a C of O?
So that's what I was wondering. We can say following.
What is the code? Green? We go from orange to yellow.
I don't want to tie it to like a tier, but maybe somehow, maybe in parentheses, unrestricted by COVID-19 related health orders or something
Health
like
orders.
That works for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sue?
Yes. And can you read that again, that condition? Because it sounds like at 3 to 6 months, it's not going to come to the commission for review. It's going to go where?
Okay. Really so it says, yeah, so it says the Planning Commission shall review this permit 3 and 6 months following commencement of full operation unrestricted by COVID-19 related health orders to determine if the conditions of approval are adequate to prevent the business from becoming a nuisance to the adjacent residential property. If a modification to the conditions of this permit is deemed necessary, then the matter will be reviewed by the Planning Commission at a duly noticed public hearing. So we'll bring it on consent. If we think it's necessary, we'll put it on a future agenda to have a hearing and modify the conditions if we need to.
Okay. With those, Madam Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
With those modifications and amendments, I would move the resolution forward. So
I would second.
To be approved.
Very good. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? With that, David, can we call the vote?
Thank you. Commissioner Buckner,
Yes.
Commissioner Vinson,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Carvalero,
Yes.
Acting Chair Herkengoner,
Yes.
and motion carries 6 ayes, noting Chair Bass as absent. And the motion is carried as amended. Give me one moment and we have an approval process. The resolution the Planning Commission just approved memorializes the Commission's final action on this matter. This action is subject to appeal to the City Council. Appeals must be submitted within 10 calendar days from this date to the City Clerk's office. Appeals must be in writing and accompanied by the required fees. The City Clerk's office can provide appeal forms and information about waiver of fees.
Thank you, David. With that, we'll move on to item 12, new business. There being none, we'll move on to item 13, unfinished business, and there is none. Item 14, excluded consent calendar. There is none. Item 15, items from staff, planning manager's update. Tell me there's some, Jennifer.
We got something. We always have something. So I'm sorry, John Kehoe, but I can't remember if he updated that. On April 19th, we'll be taking an appeal of the 923 Palm Avenue senior housing project to the City Council. That was something that came before this commission and was appealed. So letting you guys know that. April 1st, our meeting is canceled. That's not a joke. It's true. Don't show up. On April 15th, I cracked myself up. On April 15th, we've got a pretty stacked agenda at this moment. We've got, it looks like a subdivision. Right now we've got a billboard, an apartment building that's actually coming back that was continued about a year ago, and they've made some changes, and a zone text amendment for driveway width standards. May 6th, we're going to do a housing element kickoff study session, so that should be interesting. And then it looks like later in May, we're going to see some more billboards. So that's what we've got for you coming up. I can do the subcommittees right now as well.
What is the address of the project that's being returned that was continued?
Sorry, I should have said that. 1150 Orange Grove.
1150 Orange Grove.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And if you want to know, the billboard that's coming on April 15th is 8752 Sunset. That's scheduled to come on April 15th. And the subdivision is at 621 North Kings. All right. Subcommittees, design review subcommittee has 2 items on April 22nd. April 8th, oh, that was the arts and advertising. April 22nd, we've got 1301 North Fairfax. That's at Fairfax and Fountain. And we've got one for 1300 Crescent Heights Boulevard. And that's a 5-story apartment building. Those are for design review subcommittee. And then for the Sunset Arts and Advertising subcommittee, we've got one coming on April 8th for 9009 to 9015 Sunset, which is the Roxy and the Rainbow. And that's a billboard, obviously. And for long range planning project subcommittee, it looks like on April 15th, we'll be hearing billboards not on Sunset Boulevard. So we've heard a lot of billboards on Sunset Boulevard. We'll talk about the ones off. And on May 20th, right now, we tentatively have an update on the West Hollywood West Design Guideline update. And that is all I have for the evening, unless you have something for me.
Questions of our planning manager? There being none, let's move on to item 16. David, do we have any public for public comment?
Chair, there is no one for public comment.
Break my heart. Okay. Item 17, items from commissioners. Do we have any items?
I do.
Thank you, Commissioner Caballero.
Thank you. So, this reappointment's a really big deal for me. And there's been a lot of chatter over the last several weeks, and I wanted to address them. I actually wrote out a little statement because I don't want to mess this up. So if you just indulge me, I'm going to read this. Okay, so like many of us, I came to West Hollywood at a time in my life when I needed to feel included and safe. As a citizen, as a renter, as a business owner, I cherish the inclusivity we celebrate in our town. I applaud the creativity that results from embracing diverse cultures and points of view. From a renter to business owner to city employee to homeowner, we are stronger together, and we know that. West Hollywood is my home. The power of inclusivity must also extend to professionals and experts living in our town. I was introduced to our Arts and Cultural Affairs Commission through my ongoing work as a board member for the Foundation of the AIDS Monument. After learning of the great work ACAC does for our city, I applied for an open position on the commission. Mayor Horvath recognized my visual arts and design background could prove successful to the city we both love. My approach on ACAC and my design background led me to my appointment here on Planning Commission. And because history is tantamount to our city, I think it's helpful that we also celebrate our personal histories. All our histories and experiences are the avenues that welcome each of us in West Hollywood, professionals included. My history also includes working on the Getty Villa and the restoration of Los Angeles Union Station. I also teach architecture at UCLA. I represent a point of view that lives here in our city that values volunteering personal time, not for personal gain, but for the very real and simple reward that we can and must elevate and beautify our city to reflect all of us together. While working together on Planning Commission, Council Member Erickson and I discovered that we share a promising and progressive vision for West Hollywood in this inspiring century ahead. He trusts me to have a strong point of view, and we agree that inclusivity and expertise are the hallmarks and benchmarks of the best cities in the world. With that, I feel like we have some work to do, and thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Commissioner. Are there any other items from Commissioner? Okay, subcommittee management, item B. Is there, Jennifer, you gave us lots of dates and things. Thanks to Zoom, we don't really have any excuses anymore for not showing up. So are there any events that anybody needs to inform the commission about in terms of potential absences? Okay. With that, I hereby adjourn this meeting, noting that the cancellation of the Planning Commission on April 1, as we were informed, which is not an April Fool's. And we will reconvene on Thursday, April 15th, 2021 at the same bat time and same bat station. With that, I wish you a happy day 372 of quarantine, ladies and gentlemen, and someday.
Someday.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good month.
Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night and weekend.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Good night.
Thank you.